You know, you were on the Katie Miller podcast, and you said in regards to your relationship with Trump and has it cost the UFC business, you said, I don't give a shit. I don't know the answer to that question. I've gotten to a point in my life, especially after COVID and all that nutty shit that went on during that time, that I only want to be in business with and talk to people that I'm aligned with.
Well, I don't know about talk to people that I'm aligned, but I want to do business with people that I'm aligned with for sure.
So you're aligned with Trump on what exactly?
Well, Trump is a good friend of mine. I mean, I've been friends with him for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Friends. I mean, he just happened to become the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And he and I have never had he had us at the Trump Taj Mahal. When we first bought this company, the stigma that was attached to this thing, you can imagine, think about this. It wasn't allowed on pay-per-view. You as a grown adult didn't have the option to buy it on pay-per-view. Porn was on pay-per-view. The UFC was not allowed on pay-per-view. That was the uphill battle we had. So you can imagine venues didn't want us because these guys were like, what kind of people will show up to watch this kind of an event? And he had us at the Trump Taj Mahal for the first two fights, 30 and 31, UFC 30 and 31. And then after we did those two fights, he showed up for the first fight of the night and stayed till the end for both events. And you think the Trump brand then and the UFC brand, and every good thing that ever happened to me in my career after that, he was always the first guy to reach out. So then when he...
Look, y'all might think this is off topic, but to me, it's just history repeating itself. Obviously, this was before Trump was a politician, but rich people, regardless, they get bored very quickly. They have so much money. They've done so many things. They have so many experiences. They get bored quickly. So it's just like the Roman Empire back then. They had gladiators fight, and a bunch of rich people would come in and they would pay to watch these men fight to the death. It's the same concept, except it's not to the death, you know? So of course Trump would be interested in something like that. He's a billionaire. He's been a billionaire for a while. And he sees something like this. He's like, oh, this might be the next big thing. It's a business venture that he could potentially make more money in. And it's something that's entertaining that he can pass the time with. You know, instead of just going golfing all the time, he's like, you know what, let me lock in with Dana White and I can go to a UFC match whenever I want to, see people fight. Oh, that was fun. That was cool. Let's go get drunk and let's go, sleep with some women after this. That's what rich people do. They find fun ways to pass the time while also making business ventures in the midst of it. So a little side thing, it makes sense. History repeats itself. This has happened before.
He was running in 16. He called me and asked me, would you speak for me at the Republican convention? And everybody told me not to do it. Don't do it. This is going to be bad. And he's never going to win and all that kind of stuff. But this was a guy that was always good to me and, always treated me well. And I did it.
I can understand that. That's your friend. But when your friend has a disapproval rating of 62%, right, record high, people say they don't like his handling of the Iran war, the economy's shitty, cost of living for people is fucked up. Why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? As a friend.
Well, he's the president of the United States.
Still your friend, though.
And yeah.
The reason he's not going to tell him that, and let's be honest, this is bigger than Trump. No president has that much power to tank the economy like that. They're just puppets. But let's be honest, he doesn't care because Dana White is also super rich. I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's definitely a multi-millionaire. He doesn't care if the people are struggling. He don't worry about gas going up to $4 a gallon. He don't worry about, the cost of living being expensive. He's probably got multiple properties and probably hundreds of acres somewhere. He doesn't care. It's beyond him, So as long as he's living good, why does he need to criticize anything?
I know, but for me to get involved in, it's like if your friend had I'm sure people disagree with you that are friends with you, and everybody has friends that you just doesn't mean you're not friends with them anymore. It doesn't mean that you're.
Oh, no, I didn't say you shouldn't be friends with them. I just said, why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? Because these are the same people who make UFC a success.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that he's failing the people. I think that when the president is done in 3 years, people will look back on and realize a lot of the good things. See, I'm closer to him too, and I see all the good things that he does that a lot of people, either don't see or don't want to see.
But tariff inflation has increased the price of household goods, increased utility bills because household electricity costs have gone up 9%. The failure to extend the Affordable Care Act has fucked up people's health care. Everyday working class people who support your sport are hurting.
You're never going to have a president that sits in the White House that everybody approves 100% of everything they do, and not everything is always going to be perfect. You're going to have some things that work out great and a lot of things that don't. It's no different than running a business or any other thing. Nobody's ever going to be absolutely perfect.
Oh, I agree.
When they're the president of the United States.
But can you tell your friend when he's...
Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but I don't try to get into...
You like everything he's doing?
Like I just said, you're never going to agree with everything. But, as a friend, I'm not going out there and he and I have never, other than the first 2 UFC events, nothing with us is transactional.
So your relationship with Trump is bigger than...
I'm sitting here thinking too, Dana White is not a politician. He runs the UFC, and I ain't defending Trump because Trump made a lot of mistakes. But this dude runs the UFC. Who is he to come to the president of the United States and be like, hey, you should probably switch this up over here. Gas prices are expensive. Have you thought about doing this? He's not an economist. He don't know nothing about gas prices. Like, what are we talking about? Maybe if you brought on his the people in his cabinet, or you brought in some economists that advise him, then you could be asking these questions like, hey, have y'all told him about this over here? That's what we need to be putting on these radio shows and on these podcasts and stuff. We need to take the faceless people that are actually pulling the strings and put them in front of the population for us to be able to criticize and judge. Because we don't even know who's advising them half the time. And people be like, oh yeah, you can look it up. You can see. Yeah, but when do we ever get to hear their perspective? When do we ever get to, see them on podcasts and see them on radio shows? Hardly ever. You only see them when they're running for whatever specific position in the House or position in the cabinet or whatever. And then after that, you never see him again. But Dana White he's a UFC business owner. He don't know nothing about the economy.
Business is actually personal.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a real friendship, not some type of, he has lots of friends, especially now that he's the president. We don't have that. We've had a 25-year real friendship and real relationship.
But don't be a glazer, though, Dana.
Don't be what?
A glazer. Like just somebody that just tells him he's great. A yes man, basically.
Yeah.
You got to tell him when he's...
I don't think anybody's ever accused me of being a yes man. Okay. And I think that's that's part of it. But listen, I'm not an overly political person either.
Are you part of the MAGA movement culturally? Do you align with their ideologies and their values?
I consider myself right down the middle or leaning a little liberal, to be honest with you. Everybody thinks I'm some far right guy because of our relationship. I'm more about common sense. I'm a common sense guy. And if it makes sense to me, then I'm probably in.
So when you see the Joe Rogans, the Theo Vaughns, the Andrew Schultzes actually, calling out Trump and what they don't like, what do you think of that?
I think that everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and if there's things that you see that you don't like and you want to be political, call them out.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Most CEOs try to stay politically neutral.
Yeah, what did Charlamagne expect for him to say right there? No, don't criticize Trump at all. Don't criticize anybody. Yeah, of course. Like, yes, say whatever you want to say. That's the answer he's going to give, at least. Like, even if he disagrees with them, what is he supposed to say right there? Oh, don't exercise your First Amendment right. That was a stupid question.
To protect the brand, you almost seem kind of like proud to be political, I guess.
Not proud to be political. I mean, I'm just saying that this guy is my friend, and nothing is perfect. And whoever is the next president, right or left, isn't going to be perfect either. I just think that I don't base my relationship with him on politics.
Well, what about when people say that you're the reason why a lot of young male voters, because of, UFC and everything that you have, voted for Trump? And that was something that, like, even if you didn't mean to do, it was widely talked about, and you still leaned into helping his popularity in the space.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
But that gets political then.
Yeah. I guess.
So you're responsible for the high tariffs and the high inflation costs, and
I guess so. I guess if that's the way you want to look at it,
for people
it's all my fault.
No, I'm just saying you're responsible for people's healthcare getting cut. I'm just saying, like, that's what you're essentially saying.
Okay.
Jesus.
I mean, I that's not the way I look at it, but I guess I could see why you would look at it that way, and you could, frame it like that.
What's the craziest thing a fighter has asked?
That's kind of, I understand what they're saying. He's partially responsible for everything that has happened in Trump's presidency because he helped people vote for Trump. I get that. That's kind of like saying, anybody who supported Hitler is responsible for all the Jews dying in the Holocaust. That's far-fetched, you know? It's certain people in that organization or certain people in that administration is responsible for it. Not somebody, not a UFC guy that said, hey, young people, vote for this guy because I believe he's the better candidate. People still have the ability to think for themselves. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I voted for Trump. Do I regret it? No. Out of the two options that I had, it was Kamala or Trump. Kamala definitely, she's garbage. She's boo-boo. She ain't gonna do anything. But yet Trump has made a ton of decisions that I think are wrong, that I disagree with wholeheartedly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like no matter who you vote for, it don't even matter. It really doesn't even matter, man. It's a game that I ain't voting next time. I know that much. It's a game. And I'm just not playing next time. But either way, you know, so all I'm saying is I had free will and I had the choice to vote for who I wanted. Just like every young person who watched Dana White saying vote for Trump, they had a decision to make too, and they made their decision. When you're old enough to vote, like you know better. You have choices and you weigh them and you choose what you think is best. And it happens that Trump won, you know? But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it in the comment section. The entire video will be linked in the description, so you can go watch that without my commentary. Also, before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the hype button. It really, really helps grow the channel. And the last thing I'll say before I get out of here is the one thing that I learned from watching this video is when it comes to politics, man, there's so many different elements to it. There's so many different elements. You got people like Charlamagne pointing the finger at Dana White saying, hey, you're part of the reason that the economy's messed up. You're part of the reason that the country's in the position that it's in. Depending on how you look at it, sure, maybe he is. But at the end of the day, we all voted for this dude. You know what I mean? So the people are more to be held accountable than anything else. We let the government get away with so much nonsense. If we came together and we, as the people, demanded certain things, things wouldn't be the way that they are now. So we could point fingers at these rich people all day, but at the end of the day, it's really on us. That's what I learned. It's really on the people. We let them get away with too much and we consume way too much. We don't produce enough. Me and my wife were just talking about that. All we do is consume. And these rich people, they just laugh at us. They're like, they don't actually produce anything themselves. They just spend. We have no skills. We don't produce anything. And we're just completely reliant on the system, you know? So it's unfortunate, but that's how the world is nowadays, at least the US. But that's it for this one. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.